Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Jinka Jabo. And I wanted to start off a series which was inspired by a discovery I made last night at a bookstore, which was a combined volume of all of the novels of James Joyce. And I ran back this morning when I woke up and I got it, and I thought I would read different parts of it. But I wanted to start with just doing a long series of Finnegans Wake. Now, Finnegans Wake, for those of you who are not familiar with James Joyce, is a book that is written in a completely abstract, avant-garde, out-of-this-world, dream-like sense. It's meant to capture the thoughts, the last running thoughts of a man on his deathbed, which is one theory, but anyway you look at it, it's sort of a travel to the river Styx. It's a travel to the underworld. And I'm going to take you there with me. I read this novel once, and it was 10 years ago when I was going through a very difficult time in my life. And it was one thing that sort of held everything together. It was one thing that sort of helped my mind stay intact. For as I dealt with the demented and I don't know what the PC words are, but I dealt with very severely disabled people, mentally disabled people. And this book was sort of a anchor. It was sort of my strange roundabout way to connect with the living world. And it is a book that would later, through all of its insane synchronicities, would lead me back to church. And it's a book that would lead me back to the worship of God. And I'm not sure if other readers of Joyce have really come to this conclusion. And if I wanted to talk about religion, I could certainly get more out of reviewing Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, or certainly Ulysses. Ulysses has a lot of very profound religious Judeo-Christian themes, which I would love to go over on camera. However, the fact is, I wanted to start with something completely out there, and something that would apply to everyone, because I've learned that many of my viewers are not native English speakers, and it would make sense as someone who travels the world teaching English, doing this for a living, that I would attract that attention. But so much of what I've written and said and performed is all based on simply speaking to my own crowd, in a sense, speaking to other Americans, speaking to other nationalists. It's amazing in this year. 2018 is still young, but I've learned that I need to distance myself a bit from all of the political commentary, as much as I will continue to talk about current events and everything else. But this Finnegans Wake project that we are starting now, it's something that I wanted to share with you, with all of you, with anyone who would watch now or in the future at any time. I wanted to take you with me down this novel, because no matter if you speak English or not, no matter if you understand it or not, what it does is it creates a magic eye kind of Jackson Pollock Rorschach test, where simply having it on the background, simply listening and picking up bits and pieces, scattered pieces of meaning, will help you along with it. And I'm going to read it without any commentary at all, including any of the great commentaries that were written about it, which I have referred to, especially during and after my first reading of Finnegans Wake 10 years ago. But I'm just going to say this, as much as people turn to Joyce or turn to Ulysses, like many people get through Portrait of the Artist, they can't get through Ulysses because it's a bit too abstract. Picture that's the first gear, this is like the fifth gear. This is speeding out into a desert of meaning and a flat plane of just throwing ideas out there and presuming that anyone who hears part of it or any bits of it will at some point appreciate it. It's been said in commentaries that there are bits of this story that people related to, and that his friends thought, well, okay, I am part of this. This is my life. He's referring to me directly, and there's a lot of evidence of that. But there's also a lot of reference to what he calls, within the pages of Finnegans Wake, American lake poetry, that is an appreciation of Two writers I can name specifically: Mark Twain and Walt Whitman, two of my favorite writers, two of the principal writers of the American tradition, which he references and quotes. And just like in Ulysses, he quotes and references prayers and the King James Bible, as well as bits of Catholic worship and Islamic worship. There's a great chapter I remember reading when I first went through the book, where he talks about my Yathrib city. Yathrib being the name of the ancient Arabian city where idols were worshipped. Sort of a second Mecca, or whatever they called Baka before it became that. Okay, so here are the rules for me reading Finnegans Wake. First of all, since I'm only going to do it between 10 and 15 minutes at a time, I have not measured it yet, I only expect to get through maybe 3 or 4 pages, meaning it'll take me close to 200 videos, so it's kind of a big undertaking. But I want to try it anyway, because since I've gotten more used to this medium, I feel like I could still be doing this 200 videos from now. Not only that, but it requires zero thought, zero preparation. I can just sit down and read it. Of course, I am going to have to review and cut and edit whenever I mispronounce something, which is going to happen a lot. Second, I'm an American, and I have an American accent, which doesn't work for the Irish and Gaelic and Irish English and gosh, there are many different languages. I forget the full number. It's not going to work entirely, and I'm not sure that he does Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese or any of these other languages that I have any direct experience with, so I'm going to flub a bit of the accents, and this is just going to be my own twist, my own take on it, because I want to read it as me. I want to read it as Justin, reading as Jinga Jabo, as the channel that is devoted to supporting the same free speech and wild mind and scattered understanding of Joyce. And finally, that leads me to my third point. I would say that anyone listening to this, if you expect to catch more than at most 10% of what Joyce is saying, then forget it. If you are the type of person who has to understand every single word and every single phrase, then this is not for you. But for the rest, even if it's just a matter of keeping it on in the background while you're listening to something else or doing something else, I think this reading of Finnegans Wake will really improve your life. If you just have it on in the background as just some moaning presence, as something that will take you to the stream world, this world between life and death, this world where consciousness blossoms and folds, just like the opening and closing of a lotus throughout the 24-hour cycle on this spherical round Earth. And it's going to sound like gibberish. It's just going to sound a lot like mumbling, but that's the beauty of it. And just like looking at a great Rothko painting or a great Pollock painting, you just have to respond to it to yourself. And I am not going to use any commentary, any research, apart from the little spiel I did in this video early on. I insist that the meaning has to be completely personal. And listening to it, you have to pick things out that apply to you, because that's the whole point of the book. This has to be something that wakens you to a deeper sense of your own awareness, your own consciousness, and your own mortality. That is the wake. That is Finnegans Wake. And I'm so happy that all of you are going to join me on what is going to be a long and at times weird and at times beautiful journey through the underworld across the River Styx. And I guess tonight we'll start reading Finnegans Wake. Peace. Finnegans Wake, Book 1. River run past Eve and Adams, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Hout Castle and environs. Sir Tristram, while ere Damour forever the short sea had passing core re-arrived from North Armorica. On this side the scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor to wielder fight his peninsulate war, nor had topsayers rocks by the stream Ocany exaggerated themselves to Lawrence County, Georgios, where they went Dublin their mumper all the time, nor a voice from a fire belced, Misha, Misha, to Tartuffe, Tartuffe, thou't Pietrick not yet, though Venice soon after had a kickscad, but tended a bland old Isaac, not yet, though all's fair in Venice, wheresoever Cethars wroth with Twone, Nathan de Joe, wrought a peck of pause malt had Jem and or Shem, brewed by Arclight and Rory, and the Regan Bro that was to be seen ringsome on the aqua face. The fall, ba ba ba, Dalgaragak, Kamamernarokon, Brontoner, Run Twon, Huntrorar, Run Alskan, Tu Denator Mook of a once Wall Street old pars retailed early in bed and later on life down through all Christian minstrelsy. The great fall of the off-wall entailed at such short notice the first shoot of Finnegan, ere solid man, that the Humpty Hill head of himself promptly sends an unquiring one well to the west in quest of his tumpty toes, and their upturned pike point in place is at the knock out in the park where oranges have been laid to rust upon the green since Devlin's first loved Livy. What clashes here of wills Jen wants? Ostry gods, gag and fishy gods, brekek, kekek, 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 quacks, 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 wallu, 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 quaona. Where the battle airs, partisans are still out to math master Malachus McGranes and their Verdowns catapulting the cannibalistics out of the waty bite of Hoodie Head, Assy Gates and Boomerang Stroms, Sods Brood, be me fear, Sanglorian save, arms appeal with larms appalling, killy kill killy, atoll atoll, what chance cuddlies, what casuals aired and ventilated, what bidda me to love, seduced by what go ta solvers, what true feeling for their hair, with what strong voice of false Jacob? Oh, here how hath sprawled met the dust the father of fornicationists, but oh, my shining stars and body, how hath fain span most high heaven, the sky sign of soft advertisement. But what is it? Air were sewers, the oaks